Hello again, college football fans. Hot off the presses is your Week 6 SEC. That's Southeastern Conference, the football part of it, in case you were wondering. Power rankings, and here we go. 14, Vandy. You know, we've spoken about it before. It's pretty obvious. 13 is also obvious, and I feel like these two teams have a good hard stranglehold on those positions, and we'll see how that develops as the season goes on. Number 12, Missouri, having a very, very disappointing beginning to the conference schedule. The defense, I think everybody thought was going to be better. The only good part about them so far seems to be Beatty, the running back, but we'll continue to monitor them. I still think they've got a shot for a bowl game, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to procure that. They should have been pretty much, in my opinion, they should have been well on their way to going ahead and locking up that bowl eligibility, but they're struggling. They are struggling for certain. And number 11 is also struggling. And number 11, Texas A&M got to be the bust of the conference so far this year. They had aspirations of college football playoffs, SEC championships, the whole 9 yards. And now it looks like they're, not going to struggle to get to a bowl game, but they're going to be happy with, or they're going to have to learn to be happy with, whatever Peach Bowl or, garbage they wind up going to. And I know that's not what that fan base was looking for. I know it's not what Jimbo Fisher was looking for, but sometimes you just got to take what's in the box there, buddy. But number 10, LSU. Now, I know that the talking heads around the nation seem to be disappointed in their performance, but not this guy. I've been calling for their absolute spiral into mediocrity ever since the preseason, or at least before they kicked off that day. I started an hour before Alabama kicked off this year, and I told everybody exactly what I thought about the Big Dumb Gorilla and the Corn Dogs of LSU. Number 9, Tennessee. Now, is Tennessee the good surprise? Is Tennessee the best thing that's happened in the lower reaches of the preseason guys this year? I think so. I mean, you score 60 points on a conference opponent. I don't care who you are. I mean, usually that's only reserved for the Bamas of the world. But Tennessee managed to pull it off against a team we spoke about earlier, but who is disappointing. But they were, they had good credentials coming into the season. They had a good-looking talent pool, and Tennessee just went in there in their place and showed them who's boss. So maybe Tennessee is ready to come back to the adult table this year. I hope so, I want the hierarchy to get back to a more traditional form. Number 8, Mississippi State. They are exactly what I said they were going to be, a complete mystery. You never know when they're going to overperform. You never know when they're going to underperform. And I imagine that trend will continue. We'll see. Leach says that they're improved, and I don't know if they're improved or if it's just they have a very interesting pattern of behavior, just like their head coach. Number 7, Arkansas. That's the biggest drop. That team looked like it was exposed a little bit. That wasn't just a bad day. That wasn't, a couple of tough calls going your way. That was getting backed into a corner early and not being able to even inch your way out of it at all. And so we'll see if they can recover from this loss. That was a tough one, though, because they were riding really high and had a lot of praise coming their way. And I know that the Texas and the Texas A&M wins were huge for them, but as the season rolls on, we'll see exactly how much credit we should have been giving them for those wins the whole time. Number 6, Ole Miss. Obviously, they were in the same boat as Arkansas, in over their heads. I don't think Ole Miss got destroyed and exposed quite as much as Arkansas did. I feel like Ole Miss was a circumstance where they got some bad breaks early, which turned into some panicky coaching, which turned into an Alabama drubbing. And, that happens to the best of teams. It happened to Ohio State. Well, it didn't happen exactly that way, but Ohio State got boat raced by them in the national championship game. And, a couple of bad plays going your way and Alabama destroying you, it happens to everybody. So you can't really get in too big of a twist about this just yet. And the good news is next week we're going to see exactly who handles the adversity better, because they're playing each other. And I think that's going to be an interesting matchup, which obviously we'll be talking about in the predictions coming up soon. Number 5, the Auburn Tigers. And, I was asking about what was going on with Bo Nix, and he decided to give us another answer that nobody was expecting, which is, hey, I never went anywhere. As a matter of fact, looks like I've found a new toy to play with, which is this confidence in his ability to escape just certain sacks. Like Johnny Manziel, everybody's been talking about it, and I've already been talking about it in some of my previous videos, but it was startling to see. It was one of the most stark contrasts that I've seen from a player from one game to the next. And that play that he made, that first amazing, incredibly escaping touchdown play he made, I mean, that's up there with Tyrone Prothrow's catch back in 2005, which ignited that team and turned that entire season around. So could that be the kind of play that we're talking about, or could that play do that sort of thing for this Auburn team? That remains to be seen. We'll see, and next week we'll definitely see if it ignited them as much as they hope that they have out there on the plains. Number 4, probably a little controversy surrounding this. I got Florida. I debated on whether or not to put Auburn at 4, but I just don't feel like a win over LSU is enough to put you in the top 4 yet, and is a loss to Kentucky enough to drop you out of the top 4 if you're Florida. I know it's their second loss, but a 2-point loss to Alabama and a 7-point loss to Kentucky now, who's an undefeated SEC team. I mean, you're talking about 2 losses to undefeated SEC schools halfway through the season by a combined score of 9 points. I'm not ready to just drop them down into the bottom yet. I think Dan Mullen is gonna regroup, and we're gonna see Florida perform more like Florida, at least until the Georgia game rolls around, and then we'll really see what they're made of. Number 3, I got Kentucky. They're the aside from the big monsters, they're the last remaining undefeated team in the conference, and a win over Florida is enormous for Kentucky. I don't care what year it happens, but this was a pretty good Florida team that rolled in there, and they held them to 13 points and just pushed them around. Kentucky's definitely, like I said, their lines, I've never questioned their lines. That was like the first thing Mark Stoops did when he got there, was make sure that he's going to have big SEC defensive and offensive lines, because he knows that's what it takes. That's the first thing. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. He knows that. But they've just got to get the bling. They've just got to get to that point where they've got the top-notch skill guys on the outside and quarterbacks and things like that, because that's what you have to win the SEC these days, and we'll see if they've got it. My guess right now is no, but I'm not going to rain on Kentucky's parade too much right now. They're 5-0 for the first time in probably forever, maybe the first time in program history. I don't know their history well enough. I know they haven't been 5-0 very often, so this is definitely something to celebrate for them. And then you got number 2 and number 1. Everybody knows who it is. I got Georgia at 2 still, because to be the man, you got to beat the man, to use a Ric Flair quote, and Georgia's going to have to prove they can beat the man before I put them ahead of Alabama, or Alabama's going to have to prove that they are taking a step back, and it certainly doesn't look like that so far this season. We'll obviously be talking more about all of these teams coming up in the prediction for Week 6, which should be on your doorstep pretty soon there. Thank you.